Okay, so personal statement. Do you remember how many revisions you went through?
Sadly, I do remember it was about 35.
Wow.
It took so long.
So welcome guys to another video today. We've got a special guest. We've got Angela, who's just finished first year at Leeds Dental School. And she's going to be telling us about her dental journey. She's going to be telling us about all that she's been up to, being part of the badminton team, ambassador for MSFI, and everything that she's been getting involved in. She's going to be letting us know how she's been balancing it all together whilst getting through dental school. So Angela, thank you for taking the time to be with us today.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on this show with you, and I'm hoping that my experience and tips will help benefit the younger applicants to dental school.
Fantastic. And I always like to ask the question of why did you want to get into dentistry, Angela?
Yeah, so for me, it wasn't something that I initially considered, but through experience and research during year 11 and year 12, I began to realise that dentistry is really the perfect blend of science, working with your hands, and being able to use art on a day-to-day basis to help patients improve their confidence, improve their smiles, and just generally, oral health is really important for your general body health.
Yeah.
And that's something that not a lot of people realise. So dentistry for me was the ultimate rewarding profession to be in.
Who introduced you to dentistry? Was there somebody that you know who brought it into your radar? How did that happen?
It was actually some of my teachers that suggested dentistry as a profession for me. So I've always really enjoyed science. So through research, they suggested that maybe medicine or dentistry might be for me. I did some work experience in a hospital and realised that I didn't really like that environment. And then through work experience in a dental practice, I realised that, yeah, dentistry was, it seemed like something that I'd never considered before, but it just seemed so right.
And what was it like telling your family that you wanted to pursue dentistry?
So luckily they're really supportive. I know a lot of people say, oh, I hate the dentist, but luckily my parents were really supportive and they provided me with the really a loving environment to be able to pursue my goals and work towards those 3 A's that you need minimum to get in. So I was really lucky personally.
Are they in healthcare as well?
They're not, no. So none of my family are in healthcare or medicine or dentistry. So for me, while I was applying for dentistry, I found it a bit difficult to sort of understand the pathway that I needed to take, the entrance exams, all these sort of things that other courses you don't really need to do. So it's really rewarding for me to be able to pass on my experience to the dental applicants who are hoping to study dentistry.
What advice would you think would have helped you in terms of preparing your application when you were doing it? What would you say are the big things that would have really made a difference for you?
Okay, I'd say so. I'd say every part of your application is really important. So from the personal statement, UCAT, BMAT, even AS results or predicted results and GCSEs. It's annoying, but every part of those application bits are really important. So try and do the best that you can in all of these parts. And then when it's all put together, the application tutors will look at you as a really well-rounded, high-achieving individual, and hopefully they'll make you an offer.
Yeah. And how did you choose where you were going to apply?
Yeah, so I actually spent a very long time deciding. There's only about 13 dental schools in the UK, so maybe people would think that maybe it's not that much of a hard decision. But for me, it's like you're deciding where you want to spend the next five years of your life, maybe even more. So for me, it was quite a big decision. I started off by looking at the location. I didn't want to be too far from home, so initially, I wasn't that drawn to the universities in Scotland or Northern Ireland. And then after that, I looked at the course structure. I prefer learning through integrated courses, so where it's clinical aspects and practical aspects taught together with the theory, rather than learning in small groups with PBL. So that discounted some of the universities initially. And then after that, it was, I think, looking at the reviews from teaching and learning experience. So I decided I want to go to a university that had a TEF Gold. So that also discounted some universities as well. And then
Say that
after that,
again.
I
You
was
wanted, you
left.
wanted a university that had a what?
I think it's a TEF, so Teaching Excellence Framework, something
Okay.
like that. But it's supposed to represent that the university has really, world-renowned lecturers, and everything's supposed to be like excellent research and
Oh
all
wow.
that.
Okay. That's the first time I've heard somebody actually use that as a way to choose a dental school. So where'd you find that out?
Oh, I think it was on UCAS. There was like an option to narrow down your search results.
Okay.
Um, I don't know whether it was like, I don't know if people would do that personally, but I needed a way to narrow down the university. So I was like, yeah, why not? But yeah, after that, I had about 5 or 6 different universities. So I went to the open days and decided whether or not I liked the atmosphere, whether the students there were really welcoming, how the lecturers were when I talked to them. And yeah, I decided on my final 4, which were Leeds, Sheffield, Birmingham, and Cardiff.
Okay.
And yeah, my backup was non-dentistry related in economics at York.
So okay, those are the dental schools that you chose. How were you handling, your A levels at the same time?
Yeah, it was pretty difficult, to be honest. Um, as well as that, we had the UCAT and BMAT to worry about, especially for Leeds. I think just making sure that you plan everything well and that you're organised in things you do. I like to write to-do lists to make sure that I'm on top of everything, basically. Um, I think that it's a very difficult time, to be honest.
Yeah.
Um, but I think as long as you seek the right support from teachers, your peers, family, and friends, I think it's fine. Everyone's going through the same thing at the moment, so it makes you feel a bit more chill. Um, but just make sure that you're not afraid to ask for help when you need it.
Yeah.
People will always be happy to support you and point you in the right direction. And yeah, just go for it, I'd say.
So it sounds like you had experience of both the UCAT and the BMAT. I think I only did the UCAT for dentistry. What would you say were the main differences between the two? Um, yeah, just give us a little bit of insight into UCAT and BMAT.
Okay, so UCAT is I think it's a 2-hour computer-based exam. It's very difficult to revise for because there aren't any past papers as such, only the official computer-based practice tests on the UCAT website. It's split into abstract reasoning, situational judgment, like a maths and English section, and also decision making. Whereas the BMAT is paper and pen, and it's mainly science and maths as well as an essay. So I found it much easier to revise for the BMAT because of this. They've got past papers dating back to about 2003 on their website. So you've got tons of resources, and sort of the question types are all very similar from year to year. So you get a real feel for the exam.
Yeah.
So for this reason, I personally found BMAT a much more pleasant exam to sit than the UCAT.
Yeah. And is there a way to judge how well you've done with the BMAT? How do you know if you've got a good score or if your score is average or below average? Is there a way to tell?
Yeah, so on the website, after the results are published, there's sort of a normal distribution curve of the results from that year. And so you look at your score on the x-axis, and then on the y-axis, it gives you sort of the percentage of people that attain that score, and you can see whether you're like to the left or right of the highest peak where the average score was, and it gives you sort of an idea of where you sit within the cohort.
Yeah.
Although it's probably like the BMAT is normally taken by people who are applying to Oxbridge or Cambridge or UCL for things like medicine. So it's important to not compare yourself too much with the average or what the highest number of people got.
Yeah.
As long as it's above sort of about 4 or 5 out of 9, I'd say it's a very competitive score. So
Yeah.
yeah, you've done really well.
It's a very good point that you put there because, whether it's the UCAT or the BMAT, it's not just for dental students. There are
Yes,
other students
absolutely.
applying for other things that are using these same tests as well. So the comparison is not just, with other dental students. And that's quite important to realize as well. So definitely with what you said about the Oxbridge applicants using the BMAT as well.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So personal statement. Do you remember how many revisions you went through?
Sadly, I do remember it was about 35.
Wow.
It took so long. It took pretty much like the whole of my summer, so like 4 months. And I was just doing it every day. And then every day I was thinking of new things to write about, things to remove. And yeah, I'm so glad it's over. But at the same time, it taught me a lot about my writing skills and how to like, which bits to cut down, grammar and stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah, it taught me a lot.
Well, I'd love to see version number 1 and version number 35. I think because we do a personal statement series that we just started, so it'd be good to talk through that maybe if you're interested in the future. But yeah, 35
Absolutely.
is quite a lot. What would you say you learned in doing 35 drafts?
I learned that word count is very important. Like, if a word doesn't add to the personal statement, then take it out. It's not necessary. You can probably add some more useful stuff like more experience or reflections. So yeah, I just say don't go over the word limit. At the start, it's okay, but then as you get closer and closer to the end, you want to be taking more words out than you're adding, but still make sure it makes sense.
Yeah, and okay, so a lot of people right now are applying for this cycle. Um, some people are actually starting dental school first year. What advice, actually, no, how did you prepare for first year? And what advice would you give to people that are about to start first year?
Okay, so I was a bit of a nerd and I started preparing by what I think I'd struggle with during the first term of first year. So that was anatomy. I'd heard it involves a lot of memorizing and recalling information. So I started by looking at the anatomy of the head and neck using some textbooks and online resources. But I'd say to people starting first year, don't worry about that. There's more than enough time to learn all this stuff while you're in dental school. Make the most of the few months you've got before dental school starts. You probably won't have this much free time again. Our holiday time in dental school, it gets a lot shorter. So, make the most of this time.
Hmm.
As well as this, I'd say sort of the non-academic stuff. Practice your cooking, make sure you've got the basic life skills,
I need
cleaning,
to practice your
etc.
cooking. What's going to happen?
Yeah, there were way too many fire alarms in my block in first year. I've had enough. But yeah, make sure you've got like the basic life skills you need,
Yeah.
and prepare to make friends. Go in there with an open mind, and it's an amazing experience from what I've had so far in first year. You make so many friends from across the country and internationally, and yeah, it's amazing. I couldn't recommend it more. You're going to have an amazing time.
Yeah, so I actually saw on your Instagram profile that I think you're part of the Chinese Society as well.
Yes, I am. Yeah, it's amazing. So to have this network of Chinese British students from across the country all together in Leeds University, it's really lovely. And to be able to celebrate our culture, things like Chinese New Year, make dumplings together,
All
it's really
right.
lovely to be able to have that connection.
Is that something you find out about during freshers, or did you know before you arrived?
So I kind of stalked the university society clubs list, and I made a note of the societies that I wanted to join in Freshers Week, so I could like go to them in the room straight away and sign up. So yeah, I was aware of that, and also found their Instagram page before I got into the university, and just had a look at the events that they were holding, and it looked like a really welcoming, friendly society. So I was like, yep, I definitely want to join.
Awesome, awesome. And then there's the badminton. You're captain of the badminton.
Yes, yeah, women's captain of
All
the
right.
medics and dentists
So was that
badminton.
something that you were doing before as well? Were you playing badminton before you got to uni?
Yeah, I've played for about 8 years now, so it's something that I really enjoy doing,
Yeah.
especially takes the stress away, and it's really great exercise as well. I didn't actually know there was a medics and dentists badminton before I joined, so I obviously didn't stalk the societies list closely enough. But it's really lovely to be able to have these training times that fit medics and dentists.
Yeah.
So you still have time to work during the day, and most of the sessions are in the evening, so it's perfect.
And as if that wasn't enough, there's also, I think you're involved in your dental society as well as being an ambassador for Immersify. So what's being an ambassador for Immersify about? And as part of the dental society in Leeds, what are you doing there?
Okay, so firstly for Immersify, it's sort of representing their company. So they're a new startup, and they preach, involving AR with dental education. I'd recommend that app if you haven't checked it out yet. Um, so it's great for students to learn tooth morphology, and they're bringing out things like dental charting and anatomy in the future. So yeah, it's just preaching the good stuff about the app and making sure to spread the word about all the good benefits that it can bring for dental students and their learning.
Yeah.
And then for the Dental Society, I'm currently the sponsorship officer, which involves just liaising with the sponsors, making sure that we have the funds to make our events like the Dental Ball every year better, and make sure that the students have access to the amazing brands that will work with them throughout the future. Things like the what's it called? Dental like protection, DDU, things like that.
Oh,
Things
the
that will
indemnity, yeah.
oh, indemnity, yeah, that's it. Companies that might protect you in the future. So before dental school, I had no idea that that was a thing. So it's important to get students, make sure that they're aware that there are things that you need to do to protect yourself, like indemnity in the future.
So, listening to all of that, I would think that dental school was, quite straightforward and easy to manage because, you can be playing badminton, you can be ambassador for Immersify, you can be in the dental society, you can be in the British Chinese society. Where do you have time for dentistry?
That's a good question. So I started most of these things after first year. So I've been told that second year is possibly the most chill year of all the 5 years. So I thought, what better time to do all of these than second year, where I can make the most of my time and just enjoy myself.
Mhm.
So I'd say that organization and time management is really important if you want to pursue all these hobbies and also work really hard in dentistry.
Yeah,
Um, it can be difficult to balance this and make sure you're not stressed too much or burned out, but it's important to be able to have a life outside of dentistry as well.
yeah,
It's at the end of the day, you want to be able to grow yourself as a person and also yourself in your career. So dentistry isn't something that I want to like be doing every hour of every day of every week. It's important to be able to have hobbies and stuff that can help you relax as well. So yeah, join as many societies as you want, but maybe you won't have time to do all of them, but then you can just stick with the ones that you really, really enjoy. And
Well,
they'll help you.
at A level, you talked about, you were using to-do lists to get on top of everything.
Yeah.
During first year and now, how are you going to keep organized? Are there any systems you have in place? Just for anybody that's thinking, how can I become an organized person to be able to do all of this and balance dentistry and other things?
Okay, so I recently downloaded the what's it called, Notion app, and it sort of works like a calendar that you can just sync to your laptop or other mobile devices. And it's just nice to be able to see what you've got coming up in the week, deadlines you've got, and make sure you can meet those, because it's important to be able to look at all the deadlines you've got and decide, prioritize which ones are the most important, do those first, and then the things that aren't so important, you can do them later on. And maybe even color code, that helps me keep organized as well.
So, I mean, talk to us about first year and what have the highlights been doing first year at Leeds?
Okay, so the highlights were, I've actually brought some models.
All right.
The highlights were making these sort of wax fillings in the plaster arches, and also I've got another, I think it's an upper 6. So we
All right.
filled
So
these teeth.
you're going to have to explain all of this like we've never experienced dentistry before. So the upper and lower arch, let's see those again.
Oh, yeah, sure.
So what
So
is this representing?
So we've got the upper and lower arch. We had some cavities in here, and then we had to fill them with wax,
Okay.
like a little flat plastic and a Bunsen burner.
Yeah.
So yeah, just like try and mold them to what you think the tooth structure would be. This
Do
was
you
kind of
make the
before we.
models? Where do the
Oh
models
no,
come
we
from?
didn't.
Okay.
The models, I think, possibly a dental technician, but they were just there on the desk when we came in. It was a really fun experience, and that was one of the first clinical stuff that we got to do.
Yeah.
And it was nice to just see everyone in scrubs and talk to each other while making these wax models and filling the cavities.
And then you showed us a tooth as
Oh
well.
yes, this one.
So,
Yeah.
so what's happening here?
Okay, so I think this was before those. So it's a slightly bigger tooth, so you have more of an idea of what you're doing and it's less fiddly. So there was also a cavity in here, and then we just had to fill them with wax as well and try and make the morphology sort of fit what it looked like. This one went a bit wrong, but it was really fun again, and it was back in January. So yeah, one of the first experiences we had, which was
So
really lovely.
what's the aim of these exercises?
Okay, so I think it's just to get students used to, so like a pre-composite stuff, like it's sort of meant to mimic what you might do in a filling, but obviously without the filling materials that we use now. It's wax, which is possibly similar properties to composite. You have to mold it and shape it and make sure that you've got the morphology right, so that when the patient is able to bite, it won't interfere with the stuff that they've got going on already.
Okay. So you're
Yeah.
trying to recreate the natural shape of teeth as they were.
Yes, yeah, absolutely.
Right.
This one probably didn't recreate that enough, but hopefully in the future, we improve onwards and upwards.
Oh, no, it looked good. It looked good from what I could see there.
Oh, thank you.
So, okay, what else are you doing within your lectures and sessions in first year?
Okay, so in first year, the 2 modules we start with before Christmas are the introduction to the oral environment, which covers things like biochemistry, anatomy of the oral cavity, things like that. And then we also do health and health promotion, which covers things like the Ottawa Charter, cardiovascular stuff, and health in general. And then after Christmas, we move on to the oral diseases and defences, things like immunology, radiology, and things like that.
Yeah.
And also how to manage patients in pain, so psychology and neuroanatomy. So it's been really lovely to be able to build on the clinical stuff after we learn about the preclinical stuff.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't recommend people skip cell biology, even though it might not seem relevant at first.
Yeah.
I was tempted, but thankfully I didn't. It comes in useful a lot, definitely in the future, when you do immunology and you look at how all these cells interact to help protect the body from disease.
Yeah. When you think about how you perceive dentistry before dental school and now you've done a year, how would you say that's changed, or has it changed?
Yeah, definitely. I'd say it has changed. So before dental school, I kind of used to think dentists were just about filling teeth. They didn't really have that much of an impact on general body health, but especially seeing the recent research published in the BDJ about how COVID can be complicated by things like the oral factors inside the mouth. It's definitely made me appreciate the dentist role more, and especially learning about how oral cancers are often detected first by the dentist. It's made me appreciate, the importance of dentistry in whole body health.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely my view has changed a lot.
Awesome. What have been your highlights? What would you say are the 2 or 3 things that have really stood out to you in the first year?
First year, Freshers Week was amazing for me, just to meet all the different students from different backgrounds and places around the world was really lovely. Hearing about their experiences to get into dental school, everyone agrees that it's pretty difficult. So being able to connect with that at first, and then after that, being able to network with all the older students. They're really lovely, and especially connecting with them through societies. As well as that, I'd say the dental ball was one of the highlights of my first year.
Yeah.
You've got all the 5 years together, enjoying the time, having dinner together. And it's really lovely to be able to have these chilled events with other members of your course, being able to know them better through social events. And yeah, it's amazing.
What would you say have been some stressful points? Or have there been any stressful points?
Definitely a lot of stressful points. So we had to write a essay, I think, in the first few months of dental school, which was pretty stressful considering that usually people who apply to dentistry might do things like biology, chemistry, and say maths or physics, and not an essay-based subject like me. So it was pretty difficult to be able to just like remember how to structure an essay and the sort of things that you need to write about, and meeting deadlines and stuff like that. But it's important to be able to turn to people that will be able to give you support. So we've got a student support office, and members of that team are able to give one-to-one appointments to help you de-stress and give study advice and things like that. So it's definitely stressful, but there's ways that you can de-stress, and things like hobbies as well will keep you relatively calm.
Did you find yourself going home a lot during the year?
I'd say not at first. I was really enjoying the university life and freedom and independence. But after Christmas and during revision for exams, I found it really nice to go home. Your parents will cook for you, so you don't need to worry about that. And yeah, just to be at home, and yeah, it's lovely.
And going into year 2, 3, 4, and 5, what's the progression like in Leeds? What
So
changes?
Year two, we start with patients. I'm not too sure about the years after that, but I believe it's less phantom heads and more patients. And then we cover more topics like perio, orthodontics, and more specialized topics. As well as we also have outreaches in dental clinics. Hopefully that's still going on in more deprived areas like Beeston or Hull. And we're able to go into those areas and provide treatment to those who are less fortunate and who might have worse oral health.
Yeah.
I think there's also an opportunity to do a elective or exchange with some of the students in Dublin. So being able to experience what dentistry is like in Ireland will be really lovely to do.
Yeah.
And then in 5th year, we've got the master's project, which I don't really know much about, but I think it's just researching an area of dentistry that you're interested in, writing a thesis and master's project, and then possibly presenting this to some of the staff or the students. And then, yeah, getting a master's degree as well.
So this is one of the things that makes Leeds students special, because you get a
Yeah.
master's as well. I remember so after you finish your course, you do the foundation training year, and we had one student from Leeds, and that's the one thing that makes Leeds students very special. You have a master's as well as a dental degree. Um, so yeah, no,
Yeah, definitely.
fantastic.
It was definitely one of the things that drew me to Leeds as well.
Okay, so it looks like quite an intense program. Really progresses, and you start seeing more patients, and then there's the masters to do at the end of it as well. Um, what would you say Leeds prides itself in as a dental school?
Ooh, that's a good question. So I'd say Leeds prides itself in producing dentists who are hardworking, humble, resilient, with great communication skills. And I think all the stuff that Leeds teaches its students is to be able to be this well-rounded dentist who's able to reassure their patients and communicate with them effectively to provide the treatment that the patient wants.
Yeah,
It's important that we have the skills and also the knowledge to be able to give the patient the choice to choose what they'd like to do the most, and as well being able to work in a team. So from first year, we're trained together with the first year dental hygiene therapists,
yeah,
and it's being able to treat every member of the team with the same respect and dignity that I think Leeds should be really proud of.
yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. And as we just bring this to a close, I want to ask, what's next for you? What things are you working on? I know you recently published an article for FGDP.
Oh yes, thank you.
So you're getting your hands stuck in everywhere. Tell us a little bit about that, and what else are you looking to get involved in?
Yeah, so that was one of the first things I published as a blog post for FGDP. It was basically about how I'm adapting to life in lockdown. It's a bit outdated now, but I think I did it a few months ago, but hopefully some of the principles still hold.
Yeah,
I just wanted to get something out there published, and use that as a stepping stone to build my confidence and do more things in the future.
yeah,
Things like publishing in the British Dental Student Journal, I'm really interested in. So hopefully I'll do that soon. And just, widening my network. It's really lovely having a dental Instagram to be able to connect with dentists and students from across the country. So I'm really looking forward to continuing to do that as we move out of lockdown.
yeah.
And just continuing to play a key role in my societies and making sure that people are all happy. I'm really looking forward to just carrying on as normal next year.
So your Instagram page is where I actually found you. So Angela Dental. I'll make sure to put it in the description down below if people want to give that a follow and
Oh,
see what
thank
you're
you.
up to.
Thanks.
Um, yeah. So what actually sparked you? What gave you the initiative to start that page?
So I guess I wanted a page where I could just put all my dental stuff together. So I initially started off by posting those wax models that I filled back in January. And I thought that people on my normal Instagram just wouldn't really be interested in all these dental stuff. So I just wanted to keep it all together in a separate page
Yeah.
and be able to network with all these different students, and also seeing some of the older students with their own dental Instagrams. I think one of the first pages I followed was Nicole Studies Teeth,
Okay.
a second year at Plymouth. So yeah, she was really inspiring in being able to um, produce this amazing professional dental page that I thought I'd really benefit from having myself as well.
Yeah. Awesome. So it'd be good to see how your page develops. Looking forward to the posts that you put out there.
Thank you so much.
But no, thank you very much for coming on today. It's been a pleasure getting to meet you and know a bit more about you and your dental journey. Guys, make sure to check Angela out on her Instagram page. And no, thank you for coming on today.
Oh, thank you so much. It's really been an honour. And if any prospective dental students have any questions, then feel free to message me anytime. I'll do my best to provide the best help that I can. Thank you.
Awesome. Guys, make sure to subscribe, like, and put on the notifications for further videos like this, which will be helpful to aspiring dentists, dental students, and we'll be doing more videos for newly qualified dentists as well. So guys, make sure to subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.